Tonight my video is real talk, and if you're not ready for that, I want you to pause this video and come back later. Come back when you're in the right headspace for a no sugar-coated version of our lived reality. Because tonight we're talking about a lived reality that, ultimately when it comes down to it, the reason why you need to be self-reliant and why you need to back up your family and the things that you want to do with your life and protect your future is because in the end, no one's coming to save you. I know a lot of people think, oh, the police will come and save me. Well, they don't always. And case law has shown that the police are not responsible for saving you. And most police officers take that job very seriously, and they will go in and save somebody. But there is no legal requirement for a police officer to give their life for someone else. And because of that, you can kind of go back to the point that no one has to save you. At the end of the day, if your parents aren't there and they're not providing for you, or there's not a loved one that wants to provide for you, in other words, someone who's willing to go out and fight the world to get what you need, then it's on you. There's no one else coming for you. No one is going to come and save you when you're starving. No one's going to build a house for you when you need one. No one's going to fix your car when it breaks. No one that you call is going to feel like it's their responsibility to come and fix your air conditioning or your hot water heater or your toilet. No one's going to feel compelled to buy groceries for you. In the end of the day, if you take all of the government force out and you take everything else out of the equation, and even the government definitely is not there to save you. If you take all of the extra force out, at the end of the day, you have to rely on yourself. That's just the way that it is. No one cares about your hardships. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be people, there's going to be friends, there's going to be family, there's going to be people like me who are out there trying to help people because we know what it's like to go through hardship. And when you go through it, you don't want somebody else to have to go through it. But at the end of the day, my life and my children's lives fall on me. I have friends and I have family. And sometimes my friends help me out a little bit. I help them when I can. They help me when they can. Sometimes my family helps me out a little bit. I help them when I can. They help me when they can. But that doesn't change that at the end of the day, if their ship is sinking, they're not bailing water out of mine. If your ship is sinking, don't bail water out of somebody else's. One of the hardest things I've had to learn over the course of my life is something my dad taught me when I was a little kid. And that was, Zachariah, you can't save everybody if you don't save Zachariah first. If you don't lead your family, if you don't lead your life in a way to where you are the only thing that people fall back on, then you're reliant on somebody else. And that means you're relying on them to go out and get what you need and bring it back to you. And to me, that sounds like ownership. And I don't want to be owned. Nobody owns me and my family. I don't own my children. They own their own lives. And nobody owns me. I own my own life. And you own your own life. So I guess the whole point of this video is really to get you to realize that you are your own rescue team. That is who you are. If the power's out, if the world falls apart, if the economy crashes, if AI takes over, if someone somehow invades the United States and gets through, which I highly doubt could ever happen, but if it did, at the end of the day, you're the only one that's there to save you. There's no one somewhere in a government building that says, oh, I'm going to give my life to go save all of these people that I don't even know. People aren't going to do that. They're going to fight for themselves. They're going to fight for their families. At the end of the day, your reliance upon yourself is the only thing you can count on. You can't make someone else do something. My mother used to tell us a story when we were kids about what my grandfather used to tell her when she was a kid, which I'm sure his grandfather taught him when he was a kid, or his grandmother taught him when he was a kid. And that was, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's because even if you try, at the end of the day, you aren't in control of the horse. You may provide everything for it, but it still makes its own decision. This reality is different for men than it is, generally speaking, for women. And it's different for men than it is, generally speaking, than children. And there are some men, let's call them the top 10% or top 1% or whatever, the number 10 guys that everybody loves because they're 6'2", they weigh 185 pounds, it's solid muscle, they're athletic, Their cheekbones are chiseled, their jaw is chiseled. They go to an Ivy League school, they drive a Ferrari or a Maserati, they've got $1 million in the bank, their parents were doctors, they're lawyers. Those guys, we're not talking about them. They get love everywhere they go because they're what it's called the beautiful people syndrome or something like that. I forget exactly what it is. But basically, if you're attractive, people treat you nice no matter where you go. And it's not that everybody treats someone who's attractive nice, but people treat people who are attractive better. That's just the way that it is. If you look like a bum, you get treated like a bum. If you look like $1 million, you get treated like $1 million. If you were going tomorrow into a bank and you were going to try to get a loan for $100,000, just $100,000, oh yeah, chump change, who cares, just $100,000, no big deal, right? So you're in the bank, you're trying to get a $100,000 loan. If you wear cut-off jeans and a ripped t-shirt and you got grease all over you and you go in there and you're wearing flip-flops and you ask for that loan, the loan officer will have a preconceived notion about you just because they saw you. That instant they see you, they decide whether or not you're getting a loan. It's not that they have a choice to change the numbers in the system, but they know how the system works. So if they've decided that you're not a good loan choice, then when you get up there and maybe there's a little paperwork you can file, they can get you around some type of eviction you had at one point or some loan charge off you had at some point. Then you could file this little piece of paper and prove something to the bank in some other way, and you could probably still get approved for the loan. But if they made the decision that you don't look like that $1 million or that $100,000 loan, they may not decide to go the extra. They may not decide to go that extra mile to get you that paperwork, but you might be able to go in there with a credit score of 540, but you're wearing a $2,000 suit and you drive a Maserati in there and you're all cut and you're clean and you just had your hair done and you had your beard trimmed up, or if you're a young lady, you're dressed in a nice suit or you're dressed in a really nice dress. Somehow you're a knockout. You're shining like you would if you were the Fortune 500 CEO of any major company. That person's going to get the extra work put in and they're probably going to get the loan. Now, that's kind of off topic. What I'm really trying to say here is, except for save maybe a few small people, and you can alter this a little bit with image, but save a few small people in the population, men don't ever get a free pass, okay? When you were a kid, you got a free pass. When you were a teenager, you got a free pass. When you're a college student, you get a free pass. After college, there's no more free passes. While you're in college, that's the very last free pass. From then on out, you're going to be expected to produce something if you want something. It's not unreasonable. Nobody wants a mooch, okay? Nobody wants a mooch. Who wants somebody who just lives on their money, forces them to work more, causes them problems, and never provides anything? I mean, that's just not what people want. Now, when you have children, you take care of them because you love your children. They're young. They don't know what they're doing. They need guidance. They need, something safe to grow up and to learn. And your spouse, you probably feel the same way about. But most marriages where the woman is the one who provides all of the finances, most of those marriages don't do very well, or they end in divorce. I'm not saying all. I'm not trying to pick on any one group. I'm trying to stay completely out of the whole gender debate, and I don't want to get into politics on this channel. I want everyone to feel like we can talk and converse and have a conversation. Tell me what's going on in your life in the comments. Maybe I can contact you back. Maybe I can provide some advice. Maybe somebody else that reads the comments can provide some type of advice. We can help each other with these things. But ultimately, if we don't get out there and stick up for each other, and if we don't back each other up, then we're done. And at the end of the day, when the water is rising in your ship, no one else is jumping on to bail it out for you. So make sure that you get yourself set up. You get your assets. Get rid of your liabilities. Start working on yourself. Start finding those those streams of income we've talked about in other videos. Those extra little streams of income that come in and that carry over from one month to the next. Something that you can set it and forget it. Write books, do online content, make artwork, do whatever it may be. Start a business, use a skill, teach another person a skill, do something. Remember, this channel is all about learn, do, teach. It's all about helping each other, because at the end of the day, the only way that anyone's out there for anyone but just themselves is if we're out here to help each other. And even then, you still got to rely on yourself. You still can't rely on somebody else. I can't be at your house helping you when a tornado is hitting, okay? I'm just not going to be there. I live in Florida. So you got to find a way to take care of yourself. It's a hard reality for any of us to really accept, but no one is coming to save us. We are on our own. And that's pretty much the way that life is going to be from the time that you're born until the time that you die, except that your parents care enough about you to give you unconditional love. And women tend to get unconditional love, but it's not really unconditional. There's so many reasons why people take care of women. So I do reject the statement that only women, puppies, and children receive unconditional love, because I think even women don't get unconditional love. They get it a lot easier than men. Women get love way easier than men. And it may be unconditional once they have it. But that doesn't mean every woman gets unconditional love just because she's a woman. But the truth is, this is a touchy topic, and I really didn't know how to bring it up, so I just hit record and I went through the video. Because it's important that we all talk about this and that you realize that you need to learn those skills. You need to back up that data. No one's bringing books to you if the world ends, okay? So focus on more self-reliance, focus on building assets and getting rid of liabilities, focus on learning new skills, collecting up tools, getting a library, gaining a knowledge base. That's what it really means to be a self-sufficient man, or to be a self-reliant human being. You need to have those things. Human beings have done so many things in history. We are standing on the backs of giants with all of the technology, all of the knowledge that we have at our fingertips. And right now it's on a computer. But when I was growing up, we didn't have the internet when I was a child. Now, we got it later in life. I was 5 years old when we got our first computer, and we got the internet, but that was 1987. We had dial-up AOL and the Sierra network, Sierra Online, where you could play games with other people like Red Baron and Checkers, and you could sit in a chat room and talk to people. It was wild back then, but you had to tie up the phone line, and there was a lot of beeping, and there was lag and latency. But I'll be honest with you, that was the first online game I ever played was Red Baron, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, in 1987, it was pretty impressive for 1987. Anyway, my parents bought the entire Funk and Wagnalls encyclopedia set. And that's what we used when we were doing research. When we wanted to learn something, we went to the dictionary, we went to the Funk and Wagnalls encyclopedia, and if we couldn't find it there, our parents took us to the library. And that's how we were able to find stuff. We couldn't just Google it. We couldn't just open up our phones and use it. So I have an understanding and a reality that I lived in, and anybody Gen X and older, or Gen Zennial and older. So people born even in the 90s, some people born in the 90s, and even some people born in the early 2000s, depending upon where they grew up, where they lived, they may have this too, where they had to still spend time doing research in actual books. And the nice thing about books is they don't require electricity. They're always there, they never go away, and you can't change the data in a book. Once the book is written, there's no change in it. So maybe some of the material will be out of date a little bit, but you'll have a lot of material in there, and nobody can change that material. I have some old history books that I like, and the reason I like old history books is because old history books are history books that were written when the history happened. And if you read a history book that was written when history happened, you will see that history has been recorded very differently in what we've been taught. Not totally differently, but pretty differently than what we've been taught in a lot of instances. And I'm not saying that they change complete facts. I'm just saying the way that facts are portrayed is different now than it was when that stuff happened. I believe it was Winston Churchill who said, "History shall be kind to me, for I intend to write it." I may be wrong about that. Someone can correct me in the comments. But I believe it was Winston Churchill that said, "History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it." And basically what that means is the victor goes the spoils of history. I'm getting off topic here again. I want you to have a better life. I want to help build you up. And I don't mean this video to be something that like makes you cold and calloused and, oh, I'm just going to be out for myself. This video is just meant to let you understand that you really, at the end of the day, you have to be the one who decides to go out and make lives better for others. Because no one can come around, or it's very unlikely anyone's going to come around and make your life better for you. I would recommend you be the one who makes lives better for others, because then you will always have people around who care about you. There will always be someone there that wants to help you because you have helped them. That's all I got for tonight. It's the official gobbledygook. Now, I want you to go out there and I want you to learn something, do something, and teach something. Ta-ta for now.